Hi, welcome to Leadership Live. This week we're going to be talking about enable others to act. And this is the fourth of the 5 practices of exemplary leaders on the Leadership Challenge from Kouzes and Posner. So I hope you're enjoying the series. This is one of my favorite pieces because when we enable others to act, we make a couple of commitments to them. The first one is that we foster collaboration by promoting cooperative goals and building trust. And trust is so important. Have you ever had that boss where you just don't know how to trust them because you always wonder what they're up to, or the agenda that they have seems to have a personal agenda? We need to make sure that whatever we're doing and however we're leading, that we're open and we're honest. So think about it this way. Leaders know that no one does their best when they're micromanaged. Plain and simple. You know, we try to hire the best people. If we train them effectively, we need to get out of their way and let them do the job. If we don't give them the ability to act, to do the job that we've asked them to do, we're shortchanging them and we're shortchanging ourselves because we're not allowing them to use their knowledge, skills, and ability to further their career and the organization. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what each of these mean. So I told you the first commitment is to foster collaboration. Look at your team. Take a collaboration audit. How effectively does everyone work together? I love to do the Myers-Briggs because I think it's good for people to understand what they do and why they do what they do so that teams understand what everyone brings to the table. I think it starts with understanding. That way I know why so-and-so does XYZ, and then I can understand how I can utilize that to help on my project or somebody else's project. But if we let people do what they do best and give them an opportunity to shine at that every single day, they're going to far exceed our expectations. It's when we hire somebody, we micromanage them, we never let them do what they're told to do. We're not collaborating. We're not asking people how to make things better. We're telling them what to do. That's not collaboration. That's a dictatorship. We want to make sure that when we're telling people what to do, that we're not doing it in a manner that is not allowing them to be creative or use their own knowledge, skills, and abilities. I had a boss once that actually hired me. They said, "Oh, you're going to be perfect. You're going to fit in great." I did my first meeting. She said, "Oh, you're great. That's exactly how I would do it." Only to find out as soon as I started to implement the things we were talking about, it was like, "No, I wouldn't do it that way," or "No, I don't think we need to do that right now," or "No, that's not how you're going to do that." And part of me was like, "But that's what you hired me to do. You hired me to build this team. And in order to build this team, I may not do it exactly like you do, but I do it the way that it works for me and through an understanding of my team members." So we've got to collaborate effectively. We don't necessarily compromise. I know everybody says, "Oh, we should compromise." Still, in a compromise, people win and people lose. I give up something so you can get something, and vice versa. In collaboration, that means that we're going to stick it out till the end and until we can figure out how it's going to work for everybody and everybody can buy into it so that nobody feels like they're losing or giving up something. The next one is to be the first to trust. Dr. Stephen Covey calls it an emotional bank account. And there's 2 kinds of trust. There's the ones like me. I give you my trust 100% right away. The other one is that you make me earn it. And it's built on that bank account. So you have to make more deposits than you make withdrawals in order to gain somebody's trust. Both are fine. It's just understand the drawbacks and the pitfalls. If you make somebody earn it, it could take a long time to get there. And in that process, you have to be available to trust. You have to give trust a chance. You have to take those risks so that you can allow people to feel like they can trust you. And then if they make a mistake, you can't jump down their throat. Or if they don't do it exactly like you would, you can't take it out on them. You have to give them a chance to succeed. Now, with me, I give you 100% trust, but remember there's no foundation to it. So it doesn't take long for me to figure out that you're going to lose it if you make a lot of mistakes or you take a lot away. So, you have to think about the pros and cons. Yes, we can build a great foundation if we have people earn it, but we have to give them opportunities to earn it. In my case, I'm going to give it to you 100%. Now you have to take care of it. And you have to make sure, now we all have bad days. I get that. But if I have a bad day, then I need to be a big enough person to go in and say, you know what, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I shouldn't have said those things, whatever it might be, but apologize. You need to be the bigger person because you need to make that deposit so that we can continue to grow that emotional bank account called trust. The next thing we need to do is we have to ask questions and listen. Listen is tough. Nobody wants to listen. When we tend to listen, and that's another whole thing when I talk about communication, we need to make sure that we're listening to really hear what they're saying and not listening to respond. Early on in my career, I would just wait till I could get a moment and then I'd just jump in and say what I thought. Unfortunately, we have to be better listeners and we have to be willing to take advice. You know what? I'm the first to admit I don't know everything. And there is more than one way to the mall. And no one way is right. It may be better, it may be different. It just depends on your outlook. So we have to be open to taking advice, open to taking feedback, because a great leader understands that communication to build trust is a two-way street. It's a back and forth. If I'm just telling you always what I don't like and how I want you to change, and I'm not giving you an opportunity to share your thoughts or your ideas, one of the first things I did is when I wanted to introduce something new, I sat everybody down and said, okay, here's the situation we're in. We're going to be they want to implement this new thing. How do you think we should do that? Everybody gets a say, everybody gets input. We collaborate to effectively come up with something that's going to work. And then we put it into action together. That's the collaboration. Always say we. I tend to even do that now. I might be a husband and I might be talking to friends of ours and I'll say, we. I try never to say I, because there is no I in team. And I know you've heard that. So we want to make sure that we're spending some time saying we. We want to create jigsaw groups. And I've talked about this a little bit before, where we want to build a team based on strengths and talents. Each person has a piece to the puzzle that makes us successful. I was growing up and people would say, well, you need to do this, this, and this so you can be a well-rounded person. That may not necessarily make me a well-rounded person. What it's going to make me is know a little bit about a lot of things, but none of them really good. What I need to do is understand where my strengths and talents lie, and I need to build on those. With my team, I need to make sure that I'm putting them in positions where they get to be using their strengths and talents at least 80% of the time. No job is perfect, so there's going to be 20% of our job that we have to do, even though we may not like it or it may not be a strength. Budgeting is not my strength. I'm not a numbers kind of gal. I'm a people gal. So what I do is I surround myself with people who are number people, who are more concrete sequential to my random abstract. That way I can be well-rounded because I've got people who have that knowledge, skills, and ability, or those strengths, if you will. Focus on the gains and not the losses. Man, there was one time in a job I had where the only time my boss ever said anything to me is if I did something wrong or I made a mistake. And pretty soon it was more about all the losses than ever about the gains. Didn't matter if I did anything right. That was never mentioned. And pretty soon I didn't want to do anything because I was always doing things wrong. And we can't have that. We need to focus on our successes and we need to focus on the gains. And yes, we're going to have mistakes and we're going to have pitfalls and we're going to try things that don't work. That's life. But if we're trying new things, chances are we're going to find the next best thing. And we have to be open to that. You got to take a lot of human moments. Spend time with your team. And it's not always just about work. You know what? If they're sitting in the lunchroom, go sit down with them. Have your lunch with them. Get out of your office. Get out there in amongst the people who you work with every single day. Don't be afraid of being vulnerable. I think great leaders show vulnerability. We admit that we're not perfect. We know where our limitations are, and I'm not afraid to share it. Because remember, what you see is what you get. And I'm not going to fake it till I make it. I say that sometimes. But the bottom line is it's in the strength that I do that. But it's not, I don't try to cover up the things that I don't do well. Because pretty soon people are going to figure out that I really don't know what I'm doing there. And it's much better to be honest and upfront. Create that sense of vulnerability. It's okay. It doesn't make us weak. It makes us a leader. And because we're human. And we have to have more human moments. Create places and opportunities for informal interactions. Because if we're always on the clock doing business, we lose sight of what's outside of that. One of the things I love to do with my team is that we would take a half a day. The rules were you don't talk business, and we would just go have fun. It created those human moments. It showed some vulnerability. Sometimes we went bowling. Sometimes we just went to the park and we played park kind of games if it was nice outside. But we opened it up. Sometimes we just sat around and had pizza. We closed the door. We were not talking work, and we just got to know each other, and we just had some fun. And you know what? That created such a strong team. And even to this day, some of those team members still say, thanks, boss, for all that you did for me. And the bottom line is that I really didn't do anything. I just created opportunities. And that was my ultimate goal, is that I want to give everyone an opportunity to really strive to be who they want to be and use that knowledge, skills, and abilities to further everybody in the process. The other thing you have to keep in mind too is that you have to create alternative currencies. One size does not fit all. I am not motivated by money. I am motivated by challenges and new opportunities to learn something new. You can always go make more money, but you can't make any more time. So I want to use my time wisely. Ways that I can learn new things to become more valuable, either to my clients, to my family, or even just to myself, to be challenged, to grow, and to learn. I don't care how old you are or what kind of job you're in. Don't ever let yourself stop learning, because I think that's important as well. So now our second commitment that we're going to be looking at is strengthening others by sharing the power and the discretion. This is huge. Just because you have manager in your title or owner or CEO, give it away. Give the power away. Allow other people to do things. Delegate, delegate, delegate. If you're always doing everything and you're not teaching anybody anything, then you're going to be doing everything all the time. Then you don't need anybody else, right? Because they're not doing it like you want them to do. I want to delegate, and there's a process to delegation. I don't have time to go into it now, but if you want to learn more about delegation and the step-by-step process, and believe me, there is a process to delegate effectively, email me at kim@preparetosoar.com, and I'm happy to share that with you. Give me a call. We'll talk it through, and I'll take you through the process. It's really easy, but it's a great way to delegate and to let your people know that you value them, that you trust them. If they trust you, trust has to be reciprocated. You have to believe that they're going to do the best job for you and that you're willing to give them new opportunities to do that. So what does this all mean? You need to offer support. You need to be their biggest cheerleader, their greatest support, and you need to back them. One of the teams that I actually had the opportunity to work with, when I walked in, basically I was told, they're losers, you just need to fire them. And I looked around because I was a little confused, because I'm not a hatchet man. I've never been a hatchet man. I don't believe in disposable people because they're our most valuable resource. So I looked at their strengths and talents. I helped them build those strengths and talents, and pretty soon my team was number one in the organization nationwide. Why? It wasn't anything I did except that I recognized their strengths and talents and I put those to work. It really is just about guiding the ship. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm not telling them how to do it. I'm just letting them do it, and I'm giving them opportunities to do that. So it comes with assigning them critical tasks, not just the junk work, not just the stuff that anybody could do. Give them important tasks and help them to be successful and support them in the process. It was funny because one time, basically people said, well, what is your job here? And I said, I'm their cheerleader. And about that time I broke into a cheer. Yes, I did. And I was a cheerleader in high school, and I was still a little bit younger back then, so I was still able to do a lot of those moves. But it really was about my team, and that's my goal. I'm there to cheer you on, to give you opportunities, and then clap when you shine. And that really is my goal. Enrich people's jobs. You do that by giving them those critical tasks. Everybody's so afraid to train people and to give them knowledge, skills, and abilities because, gosh, they're going to leave. But remember what Henry Ford said? You train your people and they leave. It's better than you don't train them and they stay. I don't want a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing. I want to train people, and if that means that I've trained them so well that they move on to the next job, guess what? I've done my job. I've made their life just a little bit better. I've given them the opportunity to do what they want to do, have what they want to have, and be what they want to be. What's wrong with that? I'm not afraid with people moving on. I'm afraid they're going to stay, but they're not going to grow. And there's a whole theory behind that in Marcus Buckingham's Mountain Climb. It's a topic for another day. We will be looking at Marcus Buckingham's books coming up in one of the next series that I'm going to do, because I think all of these resources are extremely important, and you take bits and pieces and you make them work for you. Use modeling to develop those competencies. You can't tell people what to do. You need to show them how to do it. Some people are audio learners, some people are kinesthetic learners, and some people are actually audio-visual, kinesthetic. There we go, visual. I need to do stuff. Don't hand me a book, tell me to read about it, and then I'm going to learn it that way. I went to an Excel workshop once where I sat in the audience with my little book, and the instructor actually did all of the computer work. I didn't learn that way. I went back and went, I still don't know how to do this. It was a kind of a waste of my day and a waste of our company's money. Give people a chance to figure out how they learn best. They'll do the research on their own to figure out what you haven't been able to teach them. Or if you want to give them the ability to teach them, put them with somebody who's really good at that so that they can learn that. One of the things I always ask my team is, where do you see yourself in the next 3 months? What else do you want to learn? What other areas in this organization do you want to know about? And then let me put you with them during one of your days so you can see if that's really what you want to do. Especially in a call center environment, they don't always want to be a trainer, but maybe they want to work their way up to operations manager. Well, let's show them how to do that. Let them walk side by side with an operations manager. Sometimes they find out that, I don't want that headache. But at least we've given them the opportunity. Stop talking at staff meetings and start building the staff. Let them talk. Throw out an idea, let them think about it, and then let them brainstorm. We tend to spend so much time talking that we really don't listen, and we don't utilize the people around us. I stopped being the only one talking at team meetings. I would say, here's what we're going to cover. I want you to take this and lead this topic. I want you to take this and lead this topic. And I want you to take this and lead this topic. I sat with them, told them what we were looking at, where the situation was, and then I let them go out and do their own research. And they came back to those meetings so prepared. Plus, they were the star of the show for that moment in time. Then I didn't have to lead those meetings anymore. Pretty soon they were saying, what, at the next team meeting, can I add this to the list and I'd like to take the lead? Great, knock yourself out. And I would sit back and then I would listen. Now, I said too, if you're going to get kind of out there, let me know. And that's part of what we need to do, is that when we allow people to take these critical tasks and take these risks, I always give them some parameters. I always used to tell people, don't kill anybody, don't burn down the building, and don't give away the farm. If, anything else I can fix. Do those 3 things and then we have a problem. They kind of look at me funny, but it's true. Everything else I can fix. And so, it's about letting them have some freedom. Enable others to act. Not enable others to do what you tell them to do. Enable others to act on what you've given them to do. And I think that's important. Educate, educate, educate. This is my soapbox. I've been in training and development for over 20 years. I've been all over the world delivering it. I've been into organizations where they said, well, I just want them to do it my way. And I said, well, then you have the wrong trainer, because that's not how we do things here. Because I realize that I don't know everything and I can't do everything. And organizations can't do that until they rely on their people. The most successful organizations hire the best talent, pay them well, and teach them everything they need to know to be successful. They don't hold anything back. They don't want to worry people about taking my job. I always used to walk in and say, you know what, you want my job? Take it. Let me show you how to get there. And I think that's what we as a society need to do more of. I've been in too many organizations in this past year where every move I make is outlined either through a script or because of somebody else's perception. They hire me to do a certain task, but then they tie my hands and they don't let me do them. And so we need to be able to do that. The job I'm in right now is so nice because it's not like that at all. My boss will say to me, Kim, here's what we need to do. This is when it needs to be done by. And then I get it all done. And then I sit down with him and then we talk about it to make sure that I haven't missed anything, because it is a new industry for me. But it's nice to know that I have the ability to do what I need to do without him standing over my shoulder going, whoa, 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 whoa. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then create a learning climate. I try to do little mini training sessions whenever possible, because the more we can train our people to do what we need them to do and give them those opportunities, the more they are actually going to step up to the plate and do more than we've asked them to do. If you want people to far exceed your expectations, then allow them to reach for the stars. Joyce Meyer once said, reach for the stars and get something, then reach for nothing and get it all. I want people reaching and stretching and challenging themselves to think outside the box. Because if we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. And you heard me say that in an earlier one of these. And so I want people to strive to think more than what we're doing now. Because organizations now need that sustainable talent in their organization. Without that, we're never going to keep up with the marketplace because it's ever changing. Just think of the organization that you're in right now. It's not the same as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Even training and development has changed. It used to be all face-to-face. Now, I'm giving you a video that you can watch on your smartphone. You can watch on your computer. You can put it on your MP3 player if you don't want to see my face. I mean, there are so many options out there. And interestingly enough, every one of these videos is being recorded on my phone. So there you go. I mean, this is what the future is about. So what steps do you need to take? You're going to hear me say it all the time. I think that the most important thing we do is get to know your people. Remember the definition of leadership? It's the ability to. Leaders have the ability to inspire an individual or group of people by understanding, developing, and utilizing their strengths and talents to reach an outcome, a common goal, or a project task, or anything they want to do. You can put your own words in that bottom piece. But ultimately, it is about utilizing the knowledge, skills, and abilities of the people that you have. Train them to do what we're asking them to do. Send them to classes, allow them to do research, whatever it is that they need in order to take them to the next level. Because if they're going to the next level, then they're taking you along with them. One of the biggest mistakes that companies make now is they hire people, they pay them nominal money, and then they wonder why they leave. The cost to train somebody and to train them well is tens of thousands of dollars. Stop wasting the money. Invest in your people. Enable them to act. Enable them to use their knowledge, skills, and abilities. Enrich people's lives and allow them to be successful. You'll never make a mistake if you help somebody else to succeed. All right, so that's my time for today. And I'm going to be posting this so that you can see it. And feel free to email me with any questions, comments. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because the more that you subscribe, the more that I can put out these and the more that you can learn and grow as a leader. Next week, we're going to finish up this series, The Leadership Challenge, by bringing it home with one of my favorites, celebrate. Celebrate the successes. So join me while we celebrate all that we've accomplished in these last 5 weeks. I hope you have a great week, and thanks for joining me here at Leadership Live. I'm Kim Lewis from PrepareToSoar.com. Bye now.